Hello, beloveds. This is Divine Light, Stephanie Parasha, coming to you on screen and welcoming in 2020. So, Happy New Year, and it's good to be here. I was going to do a video, which is normally done by audio, but I was kind of guided and told, no, it's time to sit down. You haven't put your face on camera for a while. And as soon as I've just sat down, the siren's gone off. The volunteer, fire brigade, volunteer service has gone off. So that's made me remind myself to talk about in this particular video. First off, I just want to acknowledge the situation right now in Australia, and to my beautiful family there, if you're listening. I know I have a strong connection with a large number of people in Australia, and some of them are in situations that are very risky and unsafe and scary for them right now, and it's a very deep, intense situation over there. And so I just want to acknowledge that. And I have personally really enjoyed listening to Amanda Ellis and her interpretation of the events and the deeper spiritual meaning of what's happening over there. And if you don't already listen to her, I really suggest that you go along and look her up. I'll put her link to the video she's done about the Australian fires below. So in terms of twin flames for 2020, this is the intention of this video, is to bring a message to twin flames for 2020 and for the energies right now and what's going on with all of us. So as I sat down to tune in around this, I got the words, and I've written some stuff down, so I'm just going to go back to what I've written here and talk about the deeper concepts within relationship and within the masculine and the feminine and the separation and all of those kind of deeper things that come through on the twin flame journey that we all kind of feel more deeper in our core, and how those things do play out on the earth plane and if you want to call it the third dimension. So just knowing and understanding the imbalance there that's happened, and how a lot of what we're doing is all about balance and balancing things out, a lot of it within ourselves and in our relationships with others. So I'm finding that, as always, our relationships of people around us are our mirrors that are trying to bring out the part of us that we can't see, so I'll give you an example of that, because I know when you talk about these kind of concepts, you can get a bit lost unless you have an example of how that plays out in real life. So I hope that she's a family member of mine, and I won't identify her. I'll just talk about the situation. So she had disclosed to me that she felt really uncomfortable with the way that another family member was kind of always a bit showing off and kind of a bit in love with themselves and doing a lot of selfies and poses and kind of had this kind of sassy attitude. And I particularly am not really worried by that, but this other family member of mine found it really difficult. And so when we talked about it together, about what was going on, she felt really bad about it, that she judged her. She didn't want to judge this person, but she couldn't understand why it was really annoying her. So we got to the bottom of it and found that it was a mirror sort of extreme of the feeling that she has, but she never wants to be like that. She's a very humble person, almost to the point of being a little bit not really caring about herself enough, like needing to put more value on herself. So that's what we discovered it was about. Here's an extreme of someone highly valuing themselves to the point where it's a little bit out of balance, perhaps. And then my other family member actually feeling themselves that they weren't valuing themselves enough. So it was showing up as an out of balance. So that's an example of the mirror effect of how things can sort of be the opposites, and how a lot of what we do is about that separation of the polarities of the two extremes of a situation, however that might look, in all kind of different realms and departments of our lives, and how you notice that playing out within you and how you can come into more balance. And sometimes it takes quite a little bit of excavation, a little bit of contemplation, deeper thinking, conversations with others to kind of process through what's going on. But everything that's going on in our lives is a pretty much reflection of deeper things, whether they be our personal things or maybe a community trend, or maybe a family trend. So you might be having things come up for you that are related to something within your family that's been out of balance. So the other thing that I'm noticing with the energies, and I've been talking about this for a wee while now, is sort of that power and control. So when one energy is out of balance, it'll try and control the other. There's a sort of a control domination effect, and then it involves one person being the pretty much kind of, I'm going to just use these terms, the bully and the person who's being bullied. So it's like a victim, persecutor, that sort of imbalance. So there has to be one and there's all the other. And so a lot of people are playing those roles out in relationships, and you can see that in a bigger picture with the masculine and the feminine as well, in terms of how it's become imbalanced, and there's a domination effect of what happens of the power and the control that's traditionally been by the masculine, and then you get into the blame and yeah, so there's all these sort of energies underlying, and I don't want to just come on here and be all it's not about being depressed or being overly happy, but it's kind of just being realistic about what's going on with maybe some of the energies that are playing out. And, I could come on and say, oh, 2020, we're all going to come into union. It's going to be amazing. And I definitely hope that for a lot of us. But in the meantime, we do have things that are sort of just still happening around us that we're tuning into and being conscious of, and whatever's happening in our world, right? So in amongst some of this, I've written down here, a lot of people have gone through quite a big period of hopelessness this year. There's been kind of an energy of despair and giving up and feeling tired and exhausted and just not feeling as if things are progressing in the way they should. And then every now and then there'll be a sort of a spurt of energy, and you'll have a little bit of action, maybe try and do something because you're just like sick of feeling despondent or things not going you in your way the way you'd like them to. So you have these little spurts of energy, and then you put that energy in, and then kind of nothing really happens and there's no results. And so there's been, for a lot of people, kind of working out this equation that helps them in life in terms of how they are going to manifest. So there's a lot of stuff around manifestation and how that plays out. And there's also a lot of, and amongst all of this is when we get into these kind of spiritual communities where there's a lot of talk about these types of concepts, there's also, and amongst it, quite a lot of interference. And as I'm saying that, gosh, I'm getting such a big headache around my head, like just noise, and just when things become like too detailed. And there's, in the spiritual communities, has a lot of spiritual ego coming up, and we've just got to really watch out for that, because I know I've been in many states of spiritual ego through my spiritual growth, but I think it's all part of it. And it's just a part of the surrendering and letting go process, the transformation process. I'm supposed to talk about that a little bit more, so I've put an arrow to where I've talked about that again. So when we open up to spirituality, we're little, kind of like almost little children in a candy store, and you kind of find all these new ideas and concepts of spiritual things like crystals and going to yoga and doing meditation and going to festivals and being at one with people and touching the earth and getting in touch with your emotions. And this is great and it's amazing. And now there's this kind of flip around that I've been hearing people going into, which is quite a judgy, sort of shamey way of kind of putting it down and twisting that kind of community into being sort of, it's a bit tainted, and it feels like it's like a put down. And there's a few spiritual people that I listen to that I think these tools along the way have been amazing for my journey. I'm just sitting here, I've got the sage, like this is another thing. And, I just did some saging around the house, and I've got my diffuser going, and I like to clear the energy, and I like to consciously think I'm about to do this video, and it's a new year energy, and I'm really being aware at the moment that a lot of stuff's coming up for clearing. There's a lot of purging going on for a lot of people. So I do this kind of conscious meditation. And, I know that there's another kind of thing that happens where I've seen this kind of stuff be kind of poo-pooed and put down and made into something wacky and weird. And I think that's the spiritual ego, and I think if it comes with an intention of love and light, and it's authentic, you'll feel that. So that's what we kind of come back to here, is really about us being consciously creating out the best possible version of ourselves. And this is not about how we look, the whole, okay, yeah, how we look is important, obviously. And even I had to really talk myself into doing this video, because people they put themselves on camera, put themselves out there, and do a lot of presenting, generally, especially on camera, to thousands of people, is you've got to kind of look your best, and there's all this production and actors and actresses, and I definitely don't put myself in that. I'm at home, it's a Saturday, I'm kind of just chilling out, doing housework and hanging out, really, and yeah, so this is just my normal, and it is what it is, but I knew I had to share it in this way. So right, I just want to get back to what I was talking about creating the best you, but it's not about the way you look, it's about how you feel on the inside and kind of what you're doing. And it's about trying spiritually to create your best possible, highest vibrational operating system, running on the fuel. And if you don't know this by now, I hope you can fill in the gaps. And it's your energy fuel is light and love. And it's really simple, but somehow or other, when people start talking about light and love, people think that's fake. And there's another whole kind of interference that comes in around when people talk about love and light. They're just trying to swoosh over everything and make it all fluffy and positive and ignore everything else. And I think, yeah, there's a part of that, and when that is. But then when you think about the love in your heart, and this is what I'm kind of being guided to bring in here and to talk to you about today, is to come into your heart again. Because when we go into that going on, love and light's just covering over stuff or whatever, we're kind of in our heads and really thinking a little bit too hard and overthinking, getting into too much detail. And we want spirituality to be something that's helpful, something that feels good, something that is really is in the heart and makes your heart sing, and that's what you are going to continue to follow when it feels right for you. So the heart is going to be what we need more of, and again, that's about the balance of where we've been out of balance too much in our mind and coming into that heart. Some people like to label that masculine, feminine, but I think in some ways that triggers people, especially around the whole wounded feminine, wounded masculine kind of archetypes, that where there's still so much healing going on and amongst that realm. So using those concepts can get us even further into the spiritual, what do I want to call that place? It's kind of like just the spiritual wasteland of kind of confusion, and that shouldn't be what spirituality is. The confusion is taken away by coming into your heart and tuning in and feeling into it. So continue to follow that, even if there's going to be out there would-be criticizers and judges and shamers, the ones that kind of want to put out your light and stop you because they see you being quite awesome and a little bit different, and we're all different. People that listen to my channel, I know you're all cool weirdos, and that's awesome, and I love that. I just mean we're the people that never quite fitted in, I think, and I know that's kind of like an indigo, without labeling people, crystal children, star children, light worker kind of thing. And that's because we like to keep it. So it's about keeping our light burning. And I know how hard it is, because I just recently again have had another kind of couple of hits to my little firelight, and just some peoples that just, don't, it's like, can't you be nice? But obviously you have to go into some kind of weird thinking and energy that's just a bit off. And our challenge is to keep our soul fire bright. This is what your twin flame comes home to. I like that bit. So I was sitting down writing, and I think at this point it started to get quite channeled, and as I was writing I was like, oh, this is more poetic than what I can normally write, so I know it's a bit of spirit coming through to. So your soul fire is bright. That is what your twin flame comes home to. When you are in your power, your light is shining, you feel strong and powerful, alive and energetic. Yeah, so it's just you coming into you. We know you are tired, but you do have the strength in you to keep your light burning bright. Feed it. Go into nature, slow down, relax more, walk on the beach, listen to music, just do what it takes to keep your inner light burning warm and bright. And that extend it out. Don't forget to, a word that I can't read, but something to do with energy and frequency. So be mindful of your frequency. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about being your best self. Really, again, and this has been my message a lot on all the way through, but maybe it comes through stronger at different times, because I think it's when Spirit wants to give us a bit of a charge up and just go, look, you're on the electrical grid. Your light is there. Sometimes you get a bit bogged down and it gets a bit heavy, but we're here to activate those grids within our own, from our own light within our own energetic frequency. So again, this is the focus. Yeah, what else? And a message about, just because we are going to the new year, there was just a little tip, just to get on track with yourself, and if you haven't already, give yourself some time to do a bit of journaling and maybe write down some of those things you want to leave behind from the last year, decade, 2000 since they began, or whatever you want to do, and then write down some things that you want to, whether you want to call them New Year's resolutions or goals, or just a wish list, or whatever you want. So just for an example, not saying you have to do what I do, but my first one is no sugar. So this has been such a difficulty for me, and I'm going to admit I am a sugarholic. So this has been my most difficult one to give up, and I've been one of those ones. It's like smoking cigarettes. You go for 3 days, maybe you even go for 2 weeks, and you think you've done it, and then it creeps back in. So, and then you go, I'll just have one cigarette when I'm drinking. Or I'll just, but it's just like for me, one lolly in the afternoon at 3 o'clock when I'm really tired and stressed and I need a coffee. I'm working, But again, I don't want to beat myself up, because I work full time, and that's been a stressful change for me this year. And, we've all got things in our lives. You can make excuses or you can make allowances for yourself, and that's fine. But I think we all know when the time comes when we need to change things. So that's my first one. The second lot of stuff I've got is be more mindful, be more conscious, put in a daily walk to the beach. I have got no excuses, because I live like 2 minutes to the beach. So for me, every day I need to go to the beach. I won't read the rest of them because it's personal, but it's just kind of giving you a bit of an idea about things. Now, I hear and feel you saying, what about your twin flame? What's happening with your twin flame? So we have had we have our ongoing contact by WhatsApp. We message each other. Nothing really kind of big or a big deal. We're sort of just generally in contact, and I'm not really feeling I can explain anything that I'm tuning into in general for him. I don't even think he necessarily even represents the masculine, because we both have very strong masculine, feminine balance kind of within us. So if I was to talk about what's going on for him and refer to it as being what the masculine are doing, I could be, maybe not tuning in correctly. But again, I'm not feeling any immediate progress, but he sent me, like the last text that he sent me would have been maybe about a week ago, saying, have a really happy, smiley day, big hugs, So I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with that. And I know I'm still working on some stuff. I'm still dealing with quite a lot of inner stuff within inside of me. So I'm totally cool with that. So that's just what it is. And so I'm going to end it there, because I see that we're nearly coming up for 20 minutes. So I am going to send you out a whole lot of love from my heart, and to let you know as well, if any of you are interested in having sessions or doing some healing work, we can do one-on-one sessions. My sessions, I think, are really reasonably priced, and going forward in the long term, I'm kind of hoping that I can get back away from doing full-time hours and spend more time on my spiritual business and offer more services, maybe even do some, I know people like readings, some more healing work, going up a little bit more in that level. And again, that is a message for all of you, wherever you're at in your spiritual growth, that you're also sort of taking yourself to the next level and challenging yourself and putting yourself out there a little bit more and bringing more light and love into the planet. So, I'm going to end it there. Thank you all for listening very much. And I hope this finds you all well and happy, and I hope that I can get back to you with another message soon. Okay, bye for now.